Anyway, this is the Cutting Edge on IRFM. We want to tell you about a developing thing here that go on. I don't know if you know Thomas Sankara. For those of you who is into the leaders of Africa, you know, you have some great leaders of Africa, you know, if you do a whole heap of them corrupt at this time, yeah, but you have past leaders. We want to mention the man called Thomas Sankara. He used to be the president of a place named the Upper Volta. It's now called Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso. It used to call Upper Volta. Well, he was a great man, but guess what? Once again, he was assassinated. Well, after how much years now? I mean, like, it's from like 1987. Them assassinate him. The man who is charged for it is a former president of Burkina Faso who in a coup overthrew Thomas Sankara and took power. Now he's exiled. I don't want to pronounce his name wrong because, you know, them French name, they're kind of funny. It's C-O-M-P-A. Okay, so C-O-M-P-A-O-R-E. Compario. Yes. There's some Compario. He was charged for the murder of Thomas Sankara after so much years. Yeah, man. There's so much things written about Thomas Sankara that you need to go and Google Thomas Sankara and find out who this president was. He was one of the great leaders of Africa, of Burkina Faso. And he is in the same bracket as maybe like Jomo Kenyatta and Kwame Nkrumah. Yes, Kwame Nkrumah. We want you to know these people, and it's very important that you go and fight, especially now that it seems that there's a big courthouse thing going to go on now with this man who them all. He was in exile. Them all him now for the murder of Sankara. So we want to play this news clip. This news clip, we just get this news clip, yeah? So make we play it. Here we go.
A Burkina Faso court has charged a former exiled President Blaise Compaoré in absentia in connection to the murder of President Thomas Sankara in 1987 in a coup led by Compaoré. The case was sent to the military tribunal in the capital, Ouagadougou, after the charges against Compaoré and the other main alleged perpetrators were confirmed 34 years after the death of Sankara, popularly referred as Africa's Che Guevara.
Former Burkina Faso President Blaise Compaoré and 13 others are being charged with harming state security, complicity in murder and complicity in the concealment of corpses. This comes as Blaise, who is in exile, has also been linked to the murder of Thomas Sankara. Sankara, a Marxist revolutionary, popularly referred to as Africa's Che Guevara, was assassinated during a coup in 1987. Among the accused is General Gilbert Diendéré, Compaoré's former right-hand man and a former head of the elite unit, the presidential security regime at the time of the coup. Diendéré is currently serving a 20-year sentence in Burkina Faso for masterminding a coup in 2015 against the West African country's transitional government. The arrest warrant was issued against Compaoré in March 2016. He ruled Burkina Faso for 27 years before being ousted in a 2014 uprising and fleeing to Ivory Coast, where he is believed to have taken up citizenship.
Yeah. Anyway, we talk about COVID till COVID, just COVID. You know, COVID, everywhere you turn is COVID. Well, you know, we have an article we want to read in the night, you know. We may start reading it after the next set of ad them. And it's a very interesting article about Cuba. Yes, a very interesting article about Cuba. And we want to read the article because we think that the people them should hear this. People them should hear it. You understand? So as soon as they had them done at 10:30, we're going to come to this article here, which is a very important act. At least I find it very interesting. Yes, this is the cutting edge. So for about 3 weeks now, we'll tell you about Bill Gates. And Bill Gates is now the largest owner of farmland in America. Yes, he's going to farming now. He's the largest, the biggest landowner in America. Yes, and the next thing we want to tell you about is that the Norwegian Prime Minister, this is so cute, the Norwegian Prime Minister was arrested. You know what she get arrested for? Breaking the COVID protocol. She keep a party with too much people at the party and them arrest her. You think say police will do that in Jamaica? You think say, I mean not about those prime minister now, any politician in Jamaica, you think say any politician in Jamaica would have keep a party in this COVID time here? And the police go in there and arrest the politician? No way. They would have do that. No way. Well, some countries different. Arresting the prime minister because the prime minister is not above the law. The law take precedence over the prime minister. Yes, so that is something else. Anyway, we'll tell you so we have an article you have to read, and we're going to read the article. It come out of the Washington Post. I can tell you the truth. I don't want to mix you up because you're going to go to the Washington Post and don't see it. Yes, it's the Washington Post. It come out of. All right, this article come out of the Washington Post. I want to read it to the people. Them. It's entitled, Against the Odds. Against the Odds. Cuba. This is a little island of Cuba where it's 90 miles from the Western Negril there. Cuba could become a coronavirus vaccine powerhouse. Cuba leader Fidel Castro vowed to build a biotech juggernaut in the Caribbean, advancing the idea in the early 1980s with 6 researchers in a tiny Havana lab. That is how him start out. 40 years later, the communist island nation could be on the cusp of singular breakthrough, becoming the world's smallest country to develop not just one, but multiple coronavirus vaccines. I can read that again, because this is news, beyond news. No matter about Cuba becoming the world's smallest country to develop not just one, but multiple coronavirus vaccines. 5 vaccine candidates are in development. You hear that? At Cuba, we are talking about, the little island of Cuba where America put them under quarantine or embargo for over 40 odd years. No trade. As a matter of fact, them used to arrest companies who decided them to trade with Cuba. Anyway, 5 vaccine candidates are in development, 2 in late-stage trials with the goal of a broader rollout by May. Should they prove successful, the vaccines would be an against the odds feat of medical prowess, as well as a public relations coup for an isolated country of 11 million that was added back to the U.S. list of state sponsors of terrorism in the final days of Trump administration. They were added to the list of terrorist states by Trump administration. Cuban officials say they are developing cheap and easy to store serums. They are able to last at room temperature for weeks and in long-term storage as high as 46.4 degrees, potentially making them a viable option for low-income tropical countries that have been pushed aside by bigger, wealthier nations into international scrum for coronavirus vaccines. They could also make Cuba the pharmacist of nations, lumped by Washington into the axis of evil. Remember the time they named 5 countries of the axis of evil? Cuba was one of them. Iran and Venezuela have linked vaccine. All right, this is serious, you know, because these are some countries where America under Trump just outlaw them. Iran and Venezuela have inked vaccine deals with Havana. Iran has agreed to host a phase 3 trial of one of Cuba's most promising candidates, Soberana 2. That's what they call the vaccine, Soberana 2, as part of a technology transfer agreement that could see millions of doses manufactured in Iran. We have great confidence in Cuban medical science and biotechnology, Venezuelan Foreign Minister Georgia Ariza told the Washington Post this week. It will not only be fundamental for Venezuela, but for the Americas. It will be the true solution for our people. These people not depending on America to do nothing. Maduro touts miracles cure to mask massive problem. Venezuela can't or won't get vaccine. All right, I'm going to read that again. Maduro touts miracle cure to mask massive problems. Venezuela can't or won't get vaccines that could bring prestige to a government under fire for a crackdown in recent months on free speech protests led by artists, poets, and gays' rights activists, known as the San Isidoro movement. In the public eye, it would soften the image of a country that being accused of doing some pretty bad things, said Eric Farnsworth, a critic of the Cuban government and vice president of the Council of the Americas and Americas Society. It undermines the message that Cuba is broadly authoritarian country that can't produce anything good. Aye, they mean a problem. If phase 3 trials are positive, Cuban authorities said this week they would move to a vast intervention study that would inoculate almost all the residents of Havana, or 1.7 million people, by May. By August, they would aim to reach 60% of the national population, with the rest getting doses by year's end. A nurse takes a doctor's blood pressure after injecting him with the Soberana 2 experimental coronavirus vaccine Wednesday at the Eros del Correntia Polyclinic in Havana. If reached, that ambitious target could rank Cuba a country where the average scientific research earns about $250 a month. Hey, you hear that? The average scientific researcher earns about $250 a month. Yet still, and this is me at this, yet still, at $250 a month, how much Jamaican that? That's about $30,000, little over $30,000. At $250 a month, they were able to do all this work. It reached that ambitious target could rank Cuba a country where the average scientific researcher earns about $250 a month. Among the first nations, it might be the first nation in the world to reach herd immunity, which is that all of the country they might look for, herd immunity. That's why they might tell us they must take the vaccine, you know, because they must search for herd immunity where the virus don't have nowhere else to go, so it just dead, or it just disappear. Put it in a position to lure vaccine tourists and to export surpluses at what officials claim could reach 100 million doses by year's end. This is Cuba we are talking about, you know. The main contribution will be to immunize the entire Cuban population and control the transmission of the virus. All right. We'll go to the time signal.
The time brought to you by IRI FM is?
Yeah, the time is 13 minutes to 11 o'clock. Okay, so we can continue reading. All right, we can come back up at the top or so. The main contribution will be to immunize the entire Cuban population and control the transmission of the virus. Adoro Martinez Days, president of the BioCuba Pharma, the state conglomerate overseeing Cuba's vaccine development, said in a written response to questions from the Washington Post last week, the country will be able to return to normality and will be safe for those who want and decide to visit the island. So you know, they might use that now for draw tourists to them country, you know, because them know say, if you come to them country, them can't get a money off of you for vaccinate you. Okay. For Cuba, it will happen at a critical time, following relatively low infection rates last year. The island's coronavirus numbers have been spiking in recent weeks, making it one of several new hotspots in hard-hit Latin America. But some critics warn the government might be moving too fast, pushing an experimental vaccine on a broad populace in an effort to quickly regain lost tourist dollars. This is not a proven vaccine. This is some man who attack now. Where am I telling you now? This is the skeptics for this Cuban vaccine and all. This is not a proven vaccine. Juan Narges Rodriguez, co-founder of Yokabite, a website on Cuban affairs. They are using the people to try this out and then have tourists come and get it. All right. This is the part now where next man attack now and say it's very odd they want to do this on such a large scale so soon. As sanctions bite in Cuba, the U.S., once a driver of hope, is now a source of pain. Cuba is an authoritarian, one-party state with strict curbs on free speech, political activism, and economic freedoms. But investments in education and health care planted the seed of what is today an unusually sophisticated biotechnological apparatus for a small developing country with at least 31 research companies and 62 factories with over 20,000 workers. We want to read that again. This is Cuba we are talking about. That even though the man I say, I can't add some other things too, them don't mention. Them say Cuba is an authoritarian one-party state with strict curbs on free speech, political activism, and economic freedoms. But investments in education, there's no illiterate person in Cuba. And healthcare, the healthcare there is better than big America healthcare. That is me add that, right? Healthcare planted the seed of what is today in unusual, sophisticated biotechnology apparatus for a small developing country with at least 31 research companies. 31 research companies, imagine that. And the people, them get, the technologists, them get $250 a month. Yes, sir. Which we reach. With at least 31 research companies and 62 factories with over 20,000 workers. Cuba expanded its ambitions in the early 1980s when Castro, known for devouring bi-monthly briefings on the New England Journal of Medicine, became intrigued by the notion of producing interferon to fight an outbreak of dengue fever. Today, Cuba produces 8 of the 11 vaccines mandated domestically, and it exports them to more than 30 nations in 2017. Listen to this, you know. We talk about dengue fever. Cuba, them say, the way Castro was intrigued by the New England Journal of Medicine, he became intrigued by the notion of producing interferon to fight an outbreak of dengue fever. Today, Cuba produces 8 of the 11 vaccines mandated domestically, and it exports them to more than 30 nations. In 2017, clinical trials of Cuba's Simavax immunotherapy treatment against lung cancer launched at the Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center in New York. Okay, so we're going to continue reading this article here. Even by Western standards, I remember this is the Washington Post I write these things, you know. Even by Western standards, there are some really nice labs in Cuba, said former Cuban lab researcher Amilcar Perez, now a fellow of the Sao Paulo State University in Brazil. The problem is always other things like internet connections, problem with parts and equipment. Well, that would be a problem because a lot of the parts and equipment would have more come from America or certain Western country where really don't want them to see them go through. So them now go really open them up to get the parts. Cuba's most advanced coronavirus vaccine candidates, Soberana 2 and Abdala, requires 2 or 3 doses. The levels of immunity that both vaccines are generating are high. Martinez said Cuban scientists were in the midst of preparing clinical data on their vaccines for international release. Jarbos Barbosa, Assistant Director of the Pan-American Health Organization, suggested this week that it could take up to 6 months for World Health Organization approval of the Cuban vaccine candidates. That is, if they prove effective. So they might say, no, they might carry to the World Health Organization to approve it, and it could take 6 months. We welcome all the developments of vaccines, but all vaccines in the world need to achieve this same criteria to ensure quality, safety, and efficiency, he told reporters. All right, I'll turn these pages here. Yes. Should Cuba vaccine succeed, researchers will have overcome even more hurdles than their peers in the Western labs. I can read it again. Should Cuba vaccine succeed, its researchers will have overcome even more hurdles than their peers in Washington labs, including shortages of equipment, spare parts, and other supplies. During part of U.S. sanctions, let me just say, that is the problem with them now, forget parts and them things. But if them really do this, and the World Health Organization approve it, they would be doing better than them Western partners who make vaccines, because them Western partners don't have the problems where Cuba would have in terms of parts and all them something there. Franco Cavalli, president of Medicuba Europe. Where the page there? Okay. Medication Europe. Too much paper here, so. All right. Medication Europe. Cluster of non-profit organizations that is Cuba's biotech research said the group provided Havana last year with a 500,000 piece of equipment it needed to assess coronavirus effectiveness. There are times when even we have problems buying anything for them. As soon as we tell suppliers it's for Cuba, Cavalli said, even in Europe, after Trump, everything we tried to do for Cuba got harder. So this is a quote from this man who tried to sell them a part for $500,000. He said, there are times when even we have problems buying anything for them as soon as we tell suppliers it's for Cuba. Cavalli said, even in Europe, after Trump, anything we try to do for Cuba get harder. A successful vaccine could become a vital new source of revenue for Cuba, which has been suffering a brutal economic crisis that has citizens waiting hours in line to buy scarce food, soap and toothpaste. The economy worsened under Trump era sanctions that tightened the long-standing U.S. remember, say, what name? The Prime Minister, President name, Obama did ease up the sanction, you know. And the Republican, them did begs. So when Trump come in, him tighten it. So the same talk about you know. And the economy get worse under Trump era. Sanctions are tight the long-standing U.S. economic embargo of Cuba by curbing remittances, scaling back U.S. flights, ending cruise ship passengers traffic, and further complicating Cuba's access to the global financial system. President Biden has called for renewed entente, but he has made no such moves yet. Biden wants to retard relations with Cuba. A coronavirus vaccine could also prove a literal shot in the arm for other nations under U.S. sanctions. Because we ease up the club players soon and come back. A coronavirus vaccine could also prove a literal shot in the arm for other nations under U.S. sanctions, particularly Venezuela and Iran. Iran's supreme leader announced in January that he had banned the import of U.S. and British-made coronavirus. You see it? You see it? Them can't do it without America. These are countries that can't say, oh, no, boy, we don't have nothing we don't know. You understand? Because right now, them are threaten Israel because them claim say Israel go do something where them shouldn't do. And them are going to retaliate. A coronavirus vaccine could also prove literal shot in the arm for other nations under U.S. sanctions, particularly Venezuela and Iran. Iran's supreme leader announced in January that he had banned the import of U.S. and British-made coronavirus vaccines, calling them completely untrustworthy. Untrustworthy, yes. Iranian officials nevertheless ordered more than 4 million doses of AstraZeneca vaccine, which is the one we're having at Jamaica. And I think, yes, omitting mention of the vaccine, British ties to public announcement. British-Swedish pharmaceutical firm AstraZeneca jointly developed its coronavirus vaccine with Oxford University. Days later, Cuba and Iran jointly announced that Havana's top vaccine candidates would be tested on 55,000 Iranian volunteers as part of a wide agreement to scale up immunization in both countries. A spokesman for Iran's health ministry said the agreement would allow technology transfer to Iran and joint production of doses. Iranian health officials have suggested as many as 40 million doses could result. Asked about Cuba vaccine alliance with Iran, the U.S. State Department said in a statement, quote, the United States supports the rapid rollout of any effective vaccine that meets standard of efficiency, safety, and manufacturing quality as part of a national and global strategies to combat the pandemic. But it cautioned that robust regulatory and scientific reviews are critical to the confidence of the global community. Cuba suggested it will provide its vaccines free or at cost to poorer nations, but it could charge a premium to others, making money in a manner similar to the profits it reaps from the medical. All right, make a come forward. Yes, do your thing.
The time brought to you by IRIE-FM is...
Hey, I hope people want to know the time so much time, man. The time is 2 minutes past 11. I don't know if people want to know how much time it is every 15 minutes. Anyway, let me there. So, asked about Cuba's vaccine alliance with Iran, the U.S. State Department said in a statement, quote, the United States supports the rapid rollout of any effective vaccine that meets standard of efficiency, safety, and manufacturing quality as part of a national and global strategy to combat the pandemic. But it cautioned that robust regulatory and scientific reviews are critical to the confidence of the global community. And now people doubt the AstraZeneca and the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Cuba suggested to provide its vaccine free or at cost to poorer nations, but it could charge a premium to others making money in a manner similar to the profits it reaps from its medical brigadiers. Our emergency team of doctors and nurses experienced in combating global outbreaks and dispatched in large numbers last year to aid hard-hit countries in the coronavirus fight. And we cannot forget, in Africa, in Guinea and Sierra Leone, when the Ebola virus was leaking down there, the U.S. government sent them army down there. You know what the Cuban them send? Doctors. The Cuban them send doctors down there. No army, doctors. U.S. allies, encouraged by Washington, said goodbye to their Cuban doctors. Ronald Sanders, ambassador of Antigua and Barbuda to the United States, says Western vaccines have been priced out of reach of smaller nations. I hear the Prime Minister of Jamaica about that on the foreign scene. So them really a key. So it's weird now. Within years, the vaccine supposed to kill black people. You know, now black people are ball for the vaccine because white people now give them no. Well, I tell you, because the world level. Because we were told in some of those conspiracies that the vaccine they have to put what them call it, microchip in it, and them want to kill our black people. Now white people make the vaccine and keep it for themselves and don't want to give black people. So my little theory was maybe right that the idea of killing our black people is that to make a vaccine to keep them safe. And through them know black people now go want it, black people might dead off. I don't know how that sounds. Anyway, U.S. allies encouraged by Washington said goodbye to their Cuban doctors. Roland Sanders, ambassador of Antigua and Barbuda to the United States, says Western vaccines have been priced out of reach of smaller nations, and COVAX, the multilateral effort to develop and distribute coronavirus vaccine, hasn't moved fast enough. We will do a bilateral arrangement with Cuba, he said. Europe and the USA and Canada bought up all the vaccines already. You want to hear that? So, we're not sure if Jamaica going to get a second dose of that thing, you know. The AstraZeneca. If everybody take them one dose, you need to get that next dose. But here the man said, Europe, the US and Canada bought up all the vaccines already. So if Cuba does pass its trials, and you know, so them people that we don't tell you, say them need to go back in a laboratory, you know, them WHO people there, we start tell the Cuban them say, you want to see something not too right, you know, we want to go back to the laboratory and check we back another 6 months. These people will do it. Them will do it. We know them will do it. We would do a bilateral arrangement with Cuba, he said. Europe, the US and Canada bought up all the vaccines already. So if Cuba does pass its trials and the WHO does approve it, yes, we'll be in line for it, and gratefully so. And I would be surprised if the Cubans charge us more than cost and a minor amount of money. I have heard and read that one of these AstraZeneca vaccine is $10 something for one vial. All right. Waiters chat before they shift to the Hotel Melia. All right. We can't stop this, so. But I think this is a very interesting article to keep you up to date with what is happening in Cuba, our nearest neighbor, considering that they are on this cusp of being recognized as a very small and so-called third world country to create a vaccine that will enhance the lives of themselves and people who choose to deal with them, you know, and given that, as the article say, which is true, that the white people, them a keep the vaccine for themselves. You hear the Iranian, them say, them don't want no vaccine from America, nor England, because them don't trust them. That's the Iranian, them saying that. You understand? The Cuban, them a make them own vaccine for cheer amongst Latin American countries and countries whosoever will may come. So meanwhile we're talking about that now, where I say Jamaica, where we stand, where Jamaica stand in all of this. Because when you get right down to it, it's about the vaccine now. No matter you want to accept it or not, it's about the vaccine. Some of you might not want to take it, but most people is going to take it. And we want to know that if most people take it, them is in the right situation and position to deal with it. You understand? So we are saying that here is a country next door to we. You know, I know, not many, I know a couple of my friends them who said them are wait for the Cuban vaccine. Yes, I hear people say that, say them not take no, just like the Iranian them. The Iranians say them not take no vaccine from America, Europe or Canada or England. And now we hear say them make a deal with the Cuban them to deal with the vaccine over for them country. You understand? Them go don't want to wait for the WHO neither. Them go don't want to wait for that neither. Even though that is the arm of sanctions for vaccine. You understand? I'm going to say it again, you know. White people are all on the vaccine for themselves. You understand? If white people are all on the vaccine for themselves and don't want to give black people or even the Latino them or even people of color, according to what them call people of color. Just like how we did say the Israeli them don't want to give the Palestinian them the vaccine. What is it that is happening? We have to look at it another way you know. We have to look at it another way now. And look at it good too. That why is it that white people don't want to give colored people the vaccine and is vaccinating them nation? You hear women they say 4 million people them vaccinate a day now, in America. You can't believe that? 4 million people get vaccinated a day in America. They must have vaccinated people, no, them no business. And that me I find out that Jamaica come like some little laga, liggy. Because watch out now. The America tell you say certain people will get it like frontline nurses and people who is this, that, and elders over 70, over 60. We hear this little guy come along here with tough stand, come along here with the same argument. Now America say, watch a man. We're going to just run with it, anybody will come get it. We hear this guy I know come down and say, well, boy, right now, thing like that now, work out with this experience, everybody come can get it. You see what I say? So me I say now, we know we have the anti-vaxxers still out there where I say, don't take it because this and this and that and this and that and all these things. But I still say, you see, if a man want to take it, I feel business that. You understand? I mean, now I go tell him no lie and I put up things on Facebook or WhatsApp if you say certain people say certain things against it when it's lie. Because the thing, if what you are saying is true, if what you saying is true, why would you want to tell lies to project the truth? And when we look on a whole heap of the things them were on WhatsApp and Facebook, it's mostly things that is anti-vaccination. Most of the things them on it is anti-vaccination. It's not things where I uphold the vaccination. Most of it, at least 99% of the things that me get on my phone about this vaccination is against the vaccination. And when I check it, a whole heap of it, the majority of it, is fake news. The two latest fake one is about with Dr. Daz there and where name Crawford, where somebody put up them picture upon the internet and said them a say certain things, anti-vaccine talk. And what you hear from it is not Crawford voice here, and it's not Dr. Daz voice here. You know, see, some people do that. So me I say, no, if you have to do that to bring across your argument, and if the other side is true too, if you have to go bring across some lies, and most of the time when me hear a man say, boy, right now, the when in the news, the major newspaper and news report now tell you certain things. And me I say, oh, them I say that. So them now report this thing. Where you have to go? You have to go underneath to go find out the truth of the thing. Because them now tell you when people are dead and them say, and me hear them I tell you say, and at the major news place them me hear it, say, watch ya, the AstraZeneca have a cause blood clot, and them tap it little to find out what is the cause. Now them tell you that, and anytime somebody there, them tell you, say you want to, me see people bring out lies, say WHO, say hundreds of people are dead. Them have an article where somebody said me where hundreds of people are dead from according to the World Health Organization web page. A web page, them call them, yeah. According to them web page, hundreds of people are dead from the vaccine. When me hear from the shout, no go so. So me I say, why have one that want to say that if when them I say it's true? You know, and now me see white people are all on the vaccine and now give people it. When them I say no, it's going to help to do this or help to do that. You know, why them would have want all on it? You know? And then now this one when they come to Jamaica, I don't trust it. I personally. Mutabaruka, yeah, so I'm not talking for RFM, yeah. Mutabaruka don't trust this one that come here. I don't trust it. You understand? But I sit down and I watch. Sit down on the wall, I watch them, I watch me, you know, it's a thing. I sit down and watch it. Because it kind of look fishy. Fishy. Yes, it look fishy. And now we see Cuba is doing them thing. And we say, yes, and we tell you the other part right leader, where I hear that they are trying to develop a spray for the coronavirus where you spray it in your nose and get rid of the virus in your lungs and all them something there. That is something where them I work on. I've read it in other articles. You know, the one where I just read coming from Washington Post, which is a major news report. It's a major news report. So I don't know if people are saying, well, you know, the major news media not telling you the truth and not telling us when this happened and when that happened. You know how much news report me hear from them people that we are telling say something go wrong and them have to hold back. Just recently this week we hear say them stop the J&J thing because certain people have developed blood clot. All them I say them now, all them I tell the major news people them not tell you the truth. And them I tell you say everything is not hunky donkey. You understand? We have to find that out in real situations. So, me just tell you, me just read this article to make you know, say, there is a group of people in a third world country that is developing a vaccine that is trying to make it possible for poorer countries to get it because these white people is holding the vaccination for themselves. This is the cutting edge. We just go through the PS's video, you know, bring some light to a whole heap of darkness. When I tell you what, the place dark. I mean, the minds of the people them get dark. Because when we look how we are going to Jamaica now, and we see say, every day you get up, you hear a murder. Every day. What kind of life that? Or we can get up every day and hear a murder. Yeah? It weird. Weird, man. Every day we get up here somebody dead from coronavirus. Today we hear a little youth dead from corona. You know, and then now people, some people are quote something out of the Bible. I mean, what the Bible have to do with where we are going here, so. What the Bible have to do with where we really are going here, so. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. The people them who write Revelation, the guy who them say write Revelation, he might write it in a theme time about the political things we are going in a theme time period. And we take it up to them now and I read it like say a wheat attack. It's like Paul writes some letters to the Corinthians and the Ephesians and the Galatians. And we are reading the letter them like a we attack too. And there's some white people in Europe attack too. When Paul write to the Romans them, why me should I read the Romans letter when I write to them and take it personal. When I write letter to them people there. Well, it's like them people I know when them read Revelation, I'm gonna write about the situation where in a film time. And now we are reading it like a hour a week them talk about and I say, see it come to pass. It come to pass already because the man who write it dead. Just like when Jesus said there are many here that will not see death until the Son of Man appear. Which part of the man there? Where am I say it to? Him said there are many here. People are reading from the point of view of the writer rather than from the point of view of the man who has said it. You have to read it from the point of view to not say it, not from the writer. Him said there are many here that shall not see that. If I sit up in front of a crowd and say there are many here that will go to jail in front of a crowd, it means that 2,000 years a man read it and must say, if I sit up in front of a crowd, I the same thing. No, it don't go that way there. It don't go that way there. The man said there are many here that shall not see death until the Son of Man appear. And none of them man are not alive now. None of them man are not alive. You understand? So all these people who are quote biblical passages to fit it. It's like them are cut off them foot to fit the shoes. Yes, them are cut off them foot to fit the shoes. There are many here that shall not see that it don't relate to nothing where a man has a righteous or no. It's a man that talk 2,000 years ago I talk about some people stand up in front of him. That is what I talk about. People who stand up in front of him, there are many here that shall not see that until the Son of Man. There's no man who was standing in front of him that is alive today. So when a man come talk to me like, yeah, you must read Psalms, this I read, Isaiah, this I read, Revelation, this. It has nothing to do with what is happening now. Nothing. May I say that non-apologetically, it has nothing to do with where I go on here so now. All a man can do is say, boy, you know, say, it's a similar thing that happened here so now, you know. Like when it happened 2,000 years ago, it's a similar thing that happened. But when I'm sure, you know, say, it fulfilled in our time, yeah. When the man who write it, I talk about for him time. Simple. The man I talk about for him time, and me have to try to fit it into my time, yes or no. That is what you will call cutting off your foot to fit the shoes. So I'm going to show you now coronavirus in the Bible. What kind of madness is that? Coronavirus in the Bible. They have lockdown in the Bible. Because them say, the destroyer, they tell the people them of Israel, go in a room and lock down and go right, take lamb blood and cup on the door that the destroyer will pass through, that all the firstborns of Egypt must die. That is a lockdown because a disease is going to come upon the land. We are going to kill all the firstborn. There's some gene in the firstborn where the disease are going to affect them. Just like when I talk about now, if you have diabetes and blood pressure and what them call it, lungs problem, the disease are going to catch you and lick you first. You understand? So you have to put something on your wall, or in this case, your immune system, and kind of build it up. You understand? But it have nothing to do. And I mean, you can speculate that, but it have nothing to do with, see, this is going on now. Because man can easily say a COVID virus that come through Egypt. But yes, the man curse Egypt too. Yeah, man reach to see that, see there, Pharaoh and them army did a fight against the children of God. I now fight against Pharaoh. As a matter of fact, it's not one man that name Pharaoh. Many men come and name Pharaoh. Many pharaohs, just like how you have many kings. You have many kings in Ethiopia. The emperor is the king of all the kings. You have many queens who come in England. You understand? So when we look on the whole idea of the thing, why is it that black people love some 3,000 year writing to put it in the context of where I go on here so now? When if you read it, you know that a man in a 3,000 years ago had said something about something where he might experience. You only can experience something similar, but it's something that was written 2,000 years experience, because that didn't happen already, if it did ever happen. So coronavirus is a virus with their own long time. Long time it their own. It come in different names, but it come on long time. But the more it come, and the deadlier it get, the quicker it easier to catch. So all the way, I can't tell where. My brother did tell me, a little daughter tell me that they said the whole of we have coronavirus. Yes, we are talking about the crime a while ago, and we are saying it kind of dep on an edge. Yeah, dep on an edge. You know, and the people them, we hear them advertise 2 vaccines, and then we hear them talk about the murder rate. The woman them who get killed and politician are beat a man with bench. I tell you. And the weirdest thing about it, you know, people now remember say we live in a time now where you have a thing named social media, and you have a time when you have your cell phone, you know, and your cell phone you do is make call, you know. And sometimes listen to your radio. That's cell phone. That's how a cell phone used to do, actually. Make call and listen to your radio when farmer in a them field them have them phone in a them ears and listen to cutting edge and listen to stepping razor or whatsoever. But here one now, the phone where you have is more than a phone now. It's not just for call, you know. As a matter of fact, you hardly use it for call now. You most of the time you use it with your finger. I send message with your finger, and I take picture and I send this and I send that and I post this and I post that. So apparently some people forget says that I go on in this modern age where your cell phone is not just a phone again, but as your queen, so somebody take your picture and say, look where my queen, you know, just simple that. You know, you have to do something and you don't expect somebody to take picture, and all of a sudden you see your big face upon the parade name, they say, look how you're yarn, like you just wake. And you never ask nobody to take no picture of you. It's a terrible thing. So this guy, you know, where him and woman are fight, it's the weirdest thing, because the two of them go to station. The two of them go to station, go tell power what they are. And then now the two of them now come forward. You know, so we don't know where I got me, you know, but people are trying to speculate, you know, him, depending on the video, but I am depending on the video anyway.